Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 46 of Direwolf20's Let's Play series. I'm rearranging my Botania room. Tell me what you think. Ooh, nice and clean and compact. At least, that's the plan. Might even move the travel anchor. Ooh, that might be a good idea. That might not be a terrible idea, actually. Basically, my plan is make this room as clean and compact as possible. So that's what I'm doing right now, because it occurred to me as I want to advance and do more things, I should really have a lot of room available to do said things. Though, you know what? Being in that spot is really nice for its little got items floating around me thing, isn't it? Yeah, kind of is. Maybe I'll leave it there for now, and then I guess by proxy we'll also leave the travel anchor there for now as well. Okay, that's fine. So, reverse that. No more travel anchor there. Hey, let's pop back to our house, sleep through the night, and then I can show you guys how I've compacted the Botania area so that we can have more cool stuff there, because there's more stuff that's been added since I've built this greenhouse, and it occurs to me like I really don't have that much room. So I might even wind up moving my pure daisy downstairs. That might be a good spot. Speaking of downstairs, that's where I've got everything hiding. So my plan is anything that I need to interact with on a regular basis, like the runic altar and the petal apothecary in this chest that will eventually be my AE system over here, and the pure daisy, maybe I'm probably going to automate that pretty soon. But all that stuff is going to be upstairs, and downstairs will be the stuff that I shouldn't have to interact with too often. So you can see I've compacted a lot of this room and opened it up a little bit and made it so that basically I have a nice open spot to do some work. So here's what I've got. We had this set up earlier, and I moved my pretty much the exact same setup I had for the entropiniums down here. So nothing's different, it's just the exact same thing, just moved down. With the mana spreaders, I put some phantom lenses on each of them, and put the mana detectors in front, and the same timer setup here loops around. Changed the AND gate so that it's looking for an input from the bottom and the side instead of the top and the side, and then that wire goes downstairs where it's allowed to pulse and tick the autonomous activator for us. So pretty much the exact same setup that we have for the entropiniums, just moved. And then what I did is instead of having redstone dust running all around this room, I compacted it with wireless redstone. So I've got power 15 going in here, and I'm subtracting power 13. So this is 14 going in here, right? So 15, then 14, 14 goes into the comparator. Then I've got this little dust set up here, 13 goes in the comparator on the minus side. So you can see 14 minus 13 yields 1. This is as full as this thing can be, so 15 being the top strength, right? So when this thing, you know, is a little bit empty, right, and I'll empty it in just a second here into my mana tablet, and I'll show you, what it'll do is it'll weaken the signal, which will allow it to transmit a wireless transmitter signal through to here, which will activate the NOT gate, turning off this thing and turning on the redstone signal down there for that thing to not activate. So let's demonstrate how this will work. Yoink. When I set this guy to spare mana to items, so let's make sure he's in function mode, and we're going to say sparing mana to items, drop that, and go. You'll notice all of a sudden we have mana bursts flowing into this thing. Cool. So we can pop down there and see that now our signal strength is 13, so that turned off the wireless transmitter, which turned off the wireless transmitter, which is allowing this thing to pulse now, so you can see it's sending redstone signals downstairs to pulse the TNT. Currently out of TNT, so But we also have the lava thing on, obviously, which is, you know, bursting into that. So a very simple and compact system, I think, for generating mana. Now, I have more plans for this room downstairs. I want to have kind of like a mana storage area down here. So like a large amount of mana could easily be stored in one place. And that's basically going to be done probably right around here. So I might have like either a 3x3, I think, would probably be a good start. So yeah, that might be a good place to start, with a 3x3 of mana pools that are all going to be load balanced with mana and eventually fill up completely. And I've got plans for a couple other things down here at some point, maybe. More mana generation, more automation, and then upstairs is where we'll have some of the things that we need to work on, which we're going to do today. So I want to get access to Terrasteel so that we can open a portal to Alfheim. And that's our goal for the day. So we're going to be working on a Terrasteel contraption. We're going to be working on a couple other cool things. Sparks in particular is what I'm going to use. I came up with a very neat spark design that will basically be responsible for a bunch of cool stuff. And actually, I want to place my alchemy catalyst. It just occurred to me that I forgot to do that. I'll place it on the other side of the... There we go. And that'll be my alchemy mana pool. And I might even have another mana pool here for something else, but we'll get to that later. So for now, let's take a look at what we need to get going with the portal to Alfheim, which is our goal for the episode. So let's take a look. To get into Alfheim, we take a look at the Alphamancy tab, and there's only really one thing in here which explains how to make a portal to Alfheim. Everything's pretty straightforward. We need to build this nifty little portal in the world that looks eventually like this. And we're going to need some mana pools with mana in them, and we're going to have some Natura pylons, which are not terribly hard to make. And everything seems pretty easy until you get to the recipe for one of the things that we need to do. And that is this thing, a Terrasteel ingot for the Elven Gateway core and a Terrasteel ingot for the mana pylons. We're going to need 2 mana pylons in the end. So we're basically going to need 1 mana steel ingot for the 2 Natura pylons and 1 Terrasteel ingot for the Elven Gateway core. That's what we need to get, 2 Terrasteel ingots. They are unfortunately not terribly easy. Terrasteel ingots require a mana pearl, a mana steel ingot, and a mana diamond on top of this terrestrial agglomeration plate. Ugh, say that 5 times fast. Anyway, it's not terribly hard, but it does require quite a lot of mana. Hoping we have enough at the moment. That's pretty much how much mana it's going to require. And in order to get this Terrasteel agglomeration plate, we're going to need a block of mana steel. Shouldn't be a problem. We're going to need some lapis. And we're going to need some runes of water, earth, mana, air, and fire. We actually might have most of that ready to go. Let's take a look. So I didn't finish cleaning up my inventory, but let's see. So we needed water, earth, mana, air, and fire. So water, earth, fire. Do we have an air one? Yes. And then we just need mana. So how do we get mana? That's easy. Okay, so I might have less of a difficult time doing this anyway. So I'm going to need some lapis blocks and a couple other things. Let me put together the ingredients I need, and then we'll be back to check out all the cool stuff that goes with Terrasteel and a couple other neat things we're going to start working on. Back in just a minute. Alright guys, looks like I've got pretty much what I need. So I'm going to make a plus sign of lapis with these guys in the middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, miscalculated how much lapis I needed. Bad direwolf. Also, I came up with a really cool way that's different and not Steve's Factory Manager to automate this process. I can't wait to show it to you guys. I think it will work. Yeah. I think that would be cool. It should work. We're going to set it up downstairs, but we'll get to that in a minute. Probably this episode? I'm thinking we'll do it this episode. If we don't, I'll get to it next episode, I promise. So we'll pop this guy down here, and this thing should be ready to go to make Terrasteel. Now, the only thing is you need a ton of mana. We could use a mana spreader, but I feel like it would take a bajillion years. That's a technical term specific to Minecraft. It means a long time. And I'm going to go ahead and do something a little bit different, I think. Let's pop over here and make ourselves a nifty little tool called a spark. Sparks make it so that mana or all kinds of cool stuff can happen. Let's see. Do I have any more blaze rods? Good, I do. I'm going to process them. I forget. Blaze powder and a sag mill, or mass pulverizer gets you 4. Sag mill also gets you 4, so it doesn't matter. So you do your thing, and we're also going to want some gold nuggets. I'm probably going to wind up crafting these over there, so let's just get a dozen or so of blaze powder. We'll pop back over, and I should be able to craft my gold nuggets, and we'll just grab a couple flowers. It doesn't matter which one. We're going to want 2 sparks, so I'll just grab 2 sets of mana petals. Cool. And now we should be able to make ourselves a spark. Here goes nothing. Oh right, I need gold nuggets. Now can you do a spark for me? That would be super cool. I might need to find the blue one or just do it manually. This should work. There we go, 2 sparks. So sparks are kind of, think of it like a high-speed mana spreader. You can't really use them on like the runic altar or anything else. They're really meant for like high-powered stuff. They have some augments that we'll get to in a bit, but for now we can place them on these 2 things. When you place them down, you'll notice that nifty little particle effect. You can also, I think, hit them with the wand to see what other sparks they're connected to, and shift-click with the wand to take them down. Okay, what this means is that this spark can draw energy from this spark whenever it's needed. Cool? Let's make our first Terrasteel. So let's do it. Terrasteel ingot, go. Mana pearl, mana steel ingot, mana diamond. Mana steel ingot, mana diamond. Put all this stuff away. Snag an ender pearl. I brought these over, by the way, in preparation for this day. And here goes. I think I just do, and you know what, you should take your magnet off. 1, 2, 3. And there goes nothing. They got absorbed, I think. Or what happened to them? Hello? Yeah, I think I did that, right? That's weird. They kind of disappeared. What happened there? You know what I think it is? I think it actually says in the book it needs to be a checkerboard pattern, so maybe it didn't like the pattern that I had set up. I'm going to go ahead and get a new ender pearl. And 1, 2, 3. Stand back. Now we're talking. Look at that. So you can see all the mana blasting over there and, you know, basically doing what we want it to do. And... oh, I know what's happening. It's you, isn't it? Haha, thought so. Alright, Hopper Hawk. Can I redstone lever you? That would be the problem, wouldn't it? Let's see if that... okay, good. Redstone lever on the Hopper Hawk fixes it. So when that happens and it picks up the items like that, it does waste the mana, so that was probably somewhat bad for us, but not the end of the world. Let's try that again. How's our mana pool? Not doing too terribly. Okay. So at least we know what happened to our mana pearl. So check out how much mana we have right now, by the way. Almost a full pool, right? Let's do this. 1, 2, and 3. Go. Now we're talking, right? So tons of mana flowing from that spark to that one, and it's going to convert those 3 items into a Terrasteel. Here goes nothing. Lots of mana required. I wasn't kidding. And nifty little particle effects, too. You can't go wrong with that. Ta-da! I've got my first piece of Terrasteel. How much mana did that cost me? Ready? Update. Boom. About half a mana pool worth of mana to make your first piece of Terrasteel. So what I'm going to do is give this thing a little bit of time. Basically, I want to make sure we have a lot of mana available. And I'm going to build my Pure Daisy automation while this mana pool starts to refill itself. Okay? We will be back in just a minute once I get all the stuff I need. All right, guys, we're back. I said I came up with a cool way to automate the simple Daisy using something other than Steve's Factory Manager. That's a giant lie. I came up with a way to do it. All right, it's not a giant lie. It's a small lie. Well, it's actually not even a lie. It's completely accurate. I did come up with a way for it to work. It would work great, except there's a bug in the mod that I was going to use that's preventing it from working. Oh, bummer. So I do want to automate these things, and I, believe me, guys, racked my brain on how can I automate the simple Daisy without using Steve's Factory Manager, and the answer is I don't think you can in a very efficient way. There's probably some ways to do it, but there's no good way to do it aside from Steve's Factory Manager. So it looks like Steve's Factory Manager will be our option of choice here for automating the simple Daisy. So I do want you guys to understand how it works. I know in the past I've kind of rushed through the explanation, so I haven't really had a good chance to show you, like, here's the exact functionality of what we're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that for you now. Don't worry, we're not going to spend a ton of time on SFM, but we you know, definitely want you guys to have a good understanding of how it works. Oh good, I didn't break anything that time. So let's build some cool automation stuff, shall we? Now remember, Steve's Factory Manager blocks do not act as wires unless you use like the bundled stuff. So just keep that in mind. We're probably going to wind up with the Machine Inventory Manager. It can probably just sit here. And then we'll place the chest here. Okay, so basically what we've got here are block gates, and I don't think I've done anything with block gates just yet with Steve's Factory Manager. They, like any inventory block, have an inventory, but their inventory is the object that's in front of them. So when you do an import, it's going to break the object in front of them, and when you do an export, it's going to place an object in front of them. Sound good so far? Cool. Alright guys, we're back. So I've written a very simple program. It's really not complicated to follow. I'll explain it in a minute for you guys. But first I want to show you what happens and why we need to work around it. When these blocks get placed, for whatever reason, Steve's Factory Manager decides to place them one block away from the block gate. So you'll see that when I place dirt, for example, actually no, it's not going to place dirt because I already have the filter there. If we place wood, notice it's placing it one block above where we want it to be. So that's not an ideal situation. So we could either move this whole contraption down, which I guess could work, you know, or we can, you know, force it to place them right above the blocks. So I think we're going to do that. And the way I came up with doing that is as follows. If we place down something in the way to prevent it from being able to place there, it will place properly. I'm going to go ahead and place some blood magic lamps there. Because they're small, they don't really render too much, there's just little particle effects, and you can walk right through them. So it's almost like they're not there. But they are there because there's definitely a block in that space, so Steve's Factory Manager won't attempt to place a block in that space. So notice now that we've got all that there, when I go ahead and place a oak wood log, it's going to go ahead and put it in place. Now the other thing Steve's Factory Manager likes to do is if it can't place the block there, it's going to drop the item entity on the ground. So one of the things we're going to want to check for is whether or not there's already a block there. So that's what we do. Real quick, this is only going to take a minute to explain, we've got two variables defined. The first variable, the white variable, is all the different block gates. So you can see all 8 of them are there. And the second variable we just define as orange, and there's nothing contained in that. So then we do what's called a for each loop, and what it does is it'll cycle through all the blocks in the white variable, because that's the list, and each one as it goes through is going to be assigned temporarily to the orange variable. So it'll go through, it'll say, all right, there's 8 block gates in that white variable, this is going to be called orange, we're going to do whatever, and then we're going to move this and make that one the orange variable, and do whatever, and then we're going to make this one the orange variable, and do whatever, and then we're going to make this one the orange variable, and do whatever, and we're just going to cycle around. All right, so each of those, and what we're going to do is every second we're going to try and input from the orange variable, so we're going to take whatever the current block gate that we're looking at is and try and grab either living rock or living wood. If you can grab them, it's going to break them and it's going to output them to the chest. Then what we're going to do is we're going to check on the orange variable and we're going to look for the following items: stone, oak wood, and cobblestone. Now this is the trick. When we check for the inventory, we check for what we would get if we break the item. When you break a piece of stone, you get cobblestone. So we have to check for cobblestone, otherwise it won't detect that there's actually stone there. Pretty tricky. But that's all you have to know, right? So we're checking for any of those items. If that item does not exist in front of that block gate, if it's false, then what we do is we grab from the chest anything we want and output to the orange variable. I'm going to move this up here so you can see it. So we're going to output to the current orange variable, whatever the current block gate is. We're going to output either wood or smooth stone. Cool? So we're going to be in good shape. So watch this. When I place down, put a bunch of smooth stone inside the chest, it's going to instantly place them all on top of the block gates, and we're going to wait a minute and come back when this is done operating. So just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to take all but 3 pieces of smooth stone out of here, and what's going to happen is as soon as the pure daisy in the middle converts those to living stone, the block gates should break them and replace them with smooth stone. So if we watch here for a second, it should occur any moment. Okay, so we're just about to start seeing some smooth stone transform into living stone, and you just saw one little piece go, and it looks like we already grabbed it. So, oh, there we go, boom, done, 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 and done. So it started already placing some smooth stone in place there, and you can see it picked it all up. These things might, yeah, they're just maybe a little bit of lag or some ghosting entities. I don't know what the deal was with that, but you can see it replaced the living stone with smooth stone, and the same with wood, right? Any wood we place in there will get placed in. So now all we have to do whenever we want to make living stone, just throw a bunch of oak wood and smooth stone in there, and it's going to go ahead and place it down, convert it to living wood. So sometimes there's a little bit of a visual glitch where it looks like it converts, especially if it's too fast. So this thing's a little bit quick, so I should probably, do some kind of, maybe make the delay a little bit longer. Instead of every second, we can check every like 5 seconds or something. That might help with that little visual glitch, but it's no big deal. It will work, it'll continue to work, and eventually, after a few minutes, all of our oak wood and smooth stone will turn into living rock. Once the bug gets fixed in the mod, and I'm going to keep it a secret because I'm pretty proud of the build design I came up with and I want to show it to you guys, I might wind up replacing this with the other design idea. It's really going to accomplish the same thing, so I don't know if I'm going to bother replacing it or not, but I really wanted to show it to you because I was excited about it. I was like, oh man, this is really cool and it's going to work great, and then ran into a little bug and it didn't work. So I was bummed. So as you can see here, it looks like we're starting to get some stuff. Yep, more smooth stone coming in, or more living stone, I mean. So we've got a bunch of good stuff going. Nice. There we go. Breaking and replacing things. Awesome. So every 5 seconds it runs now, so there might be a little bit of a delay between it turning into the living rock or living wood and converting. So let's go see how our mana situation is. We have enough yet, guys, for... We do. Sweet. 1, 2, and 3. Let's cook up another piece of Terrasteel. Go, Terrasteel production, go! I just kind of love watching the awesome particle effects. One thing Botania has is some really fancy particles, my personal opinion, but I think it's neat. Oh man. And this will give us everything we need to open our portal to Elfheim, which gives us access to a lot of higher tier Botania stuff. Unfortunately, that did kind of crush our mana reserves at the moment, but we'll be alright. So, we'll be back in a few minutes, once, probably going to want a few things here done, and a few other things to take care of. Oh, and because we did do the 5-second delay now, it's no longer going to rapidly collect the items, so we should probably add living rock and living wood to the items to check for before we attempt to place oak wood and stone. So that way it won't try and place stuff there if there's already oak wood, or living wood or living stone in place. So just be aware of that little change I made. I noticed there were a couple items on the ground, and that's the only reason I could think of that they would be there. Alright, let's make some stuff. Alright guys, we're back, and I think after just a little bit of crafting here, we've got what we need to make an Elven Gateway. Woot! Let's do it. So let's just confer with the Lexica Botania real quick, just to make sure I do in fact have everything I need. We need 8 living wood blocks. Check. 3 glimmering living wood. Check. 1 Elven Gateway core. 2 mana pearls or pools, and 2 Natura pylons. I think we are good to go after we sleep through the night. So, what's the plan? Let's boot it up. So we're going to drop the diluted mana pools real quick into a regular old mana pool to convert them. Done and done. And I'm thinking we could put the Elven Gateway like right about here. Now if we take a look at this, the shape of the Elven Gateway has it being about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks across. So that might not fit too smoothly with my 4 block inside here. It just won't look good, will it? That's not good. That's not ideal at all. So how should I set this up? I mean, I could put it up against a wall somewhere like here, or, yeah, definitely having the glass the way we have it is not kind of the right situation for this map out of things. We could place it here, but I don't think that'll work too well. I do want it upstairs. Let me spend a minute just figuring out how I want this to be placed, and we'll be back. Alright guys, I think I've come up with a plan for how I want this to kind of be spaced out a bit. So it looks like I came up with a plan, but it wasn't perfect. So how's this look? If we do something like this, here, 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 that, and that. I think that doesn't look half bad, right? Oh, there's my problem. I did that wrong. Ha! I knew I kind of had it spaced out appropriately. There we go. So let's try that again. 1, 2, 3. And then we can put these things back up here. So I like the idea of placing it in the wall. I kind of feel like it looks cool like that. Now the only thing is that we then need to place our mana pools 1 block lower into the ground. So that'll mean like here and here. But I think that'll work out. I think that's okay like that, don't you guys? And then the Natura pylons can go on top. And I have a spark in my inventory because I was playing around with moving around and trying to figure out where I wanted this portal to be. And, well, long story short, came up with the following solution. Now, I don't want this to just be a big open wall here. So what I'm thinking might be cool is if we were to go get a saw, let's see what we can try here. Iron should work. I just want to have a few of these. And just a bit of this. Now it'll definitely stick out a little bit. It won't be perfectly flush, but it might work. So let's give it a shot. So from the outside, like you can kind of tell. Like if you're looking at it like this, you can't really. If you look at it at just the right angle, you can kind of tell that there's a thing there, but it's not too bad, honestly, I don't think. If you really wanted to make that, you know, completely transparent, you could cover the entire outside wall with covers. That would work. So keep that in mind as a, you know, option if you want to. It's up to you guys. I'm a little bit too lazy right now to do that, but it definitely could be done. There we go. So from the outside, not too bad looking. You can almost kind of tell that there's like a little thing there, but not so much, especially because of like the nice broken up texture that there is on this thing. And in fact, it looks like I missed one there. That looks a little bit better, I think. So yeah, that actually looks better than I thought it would. Not too shabby. Nice. And from inside, it looks like that. Cool, right? So I think that's good. So we're gonna stick with that. That's a plan. I honestly did not expect it to come out so nice looking. Where did I put my blue bag? I must have dropped it in my A system by mistake. Oh well. Let's put away some of this that we don't need at the moment. So with that, I think we're ready to kick this portal into production. Now the only thing is that we need to replace this piece of living wood with the Elven gateway core. There we go. And then we just need to wander the forest it once these both have a little bit of mana in them. Now they do need a decent chunk of mana, so let's first check that this is accepting mana from items. Good. And the same over here? Yes. So that might get a little bit tricky, dropping the thing on there, but it shouldn't be necessary for long. You know what I can just do is remove this. Once we do a couple things here, it shouldn't be a problem. I should probably take my magnet off. Hold shift will prevent the magnet from doing anything, and while that's draining a little bit of its mana, I'll grab this thing. There we go, so that was about half a tablet's worth, and this can be half a tablet's worth. So you've got a little bit, and you've got a little bit, almost a quarter. I don't know exactly how much they need in order to open the gateway, but I'm going to try and get them to close to about a quarter's worth of mana in each pool, and hopefully that's enough just to get the gateway open for a short period of time so that we can drop the portal thing in there and get it going. So with that, I think it's time to give it a shot. So we'll place our mana pylons back on, and I want to make sure that I've got a few things ready for when I open this gateway, because I don't know how long we'll have it open for. So let's actually get ourselves a few ender pearls. That ought to be good. Maybe one more. Cool. Alright. So, we're ready to open the gateway. Let's give it a shot. No, why are you not open? Not enough mana, maybe? Let me just make sure. Oh. I missed a piece. Placed the wrong thing there. I know, you guys probably noticed and were yelling at me. Hey, there we go. The portal's open. Nice. How much mana did that drain out of the pool, by the way? Oh, not so bad. Cool. So we've got a portal opening. Opening the portal takes significantly more mana than maintaining the open portal. So the first thing you want to do is drop your Lexica Botania into the portal, and it'll spit out a new version with a message from the Elven Guard. Basically, you can read it. I've read it on camera before, so I don't want to read through the whole thing, but recommend you read it because it's actually a pretty cool message that the elves give you. What this does is it opens up your book to all kinds of new things. Anything that's Elven related will be in the color green, so you'll notice that there's a few more items here that you can go with. I don't think there's any new flowers that you get out of it, but you get a lot of natural apparatus, and you get a lot of different baubles that you have access to as well as a few more Elfheim things, so Elven lore and the Ritual of Gaia and the resources of Elfheim. This is how you can get different items. So you can get Dreamwood, which is an upgraded version of Living Wood. All you gotta do is drop Living Wood into the portal and you get Dreamwood. So just opening this portal accesses this portal for you. It's pretty good. 2 Mana Steel ingots for 1 Elementium ingot, so that's not too bad. Mana Pearls will get you Pixie Dust, and Mana Diamonds will get you Dragonstone. Cool. You can also do some cool stuff with glass and some quartz and a couple other things. Pretty neat. Alpha Glass. Yeah, that stuff's neat. So, one of the things I want to start with is the spark system. I do want to do a little bit more with sparks. So let's go get ourselves a few more of those, and then we're going to show you guys how to use sparks to do what's kind of like a mana battery type situation. So let's see what our blaze powder is doing right now. We've got a bit, and we're going to want a bit more. And I can put this stuff away. So for the time being, let's craft ourselves a couple more sparks. I do still have that crafting station, which I'll place right there. Should have some more nuggets, and we might as well get green. Seems to be a good color to go with. So I'm going to go with 3 sparks, right like so. So what I'm going to do is craft spark. There's the green ones. That'll get us 3 of those. So the first, we've got this spark here. I want to place sparks on this. And you'll notice that you have to kind of right-click on there, and it'll actually place the spark down for you. It renders initially inside the Natura pylon, and then it bumps up to the top of it. So you can actually have sparks on top of mana pools with Natura pylons now. That's kind of a nice addition. And what I'd also like to have is 1 more mana pool with a spark on it underground. That's going to represent the first of the large mana setup, and that's going to have a spark on it as well. Cool. So you can see all the sparks are connecting to each other, right? If you right-click on it with the Wand of the Forest, the sparks are all connected to each other. They're interconnected. The first thing I want to do is an augmentation for the spark. That's one of the first things we're going to craft with this portal's access. So let's take a look at, I believe it's natural apparatus. I'm wrong. It might be mystical items. Alright, it wasn't natural apparatus? Okay, I guess not. So I don't know where it is, so I'm going to look in the lexicon. Do a search for spark augmentation. As it seems, sparks are a bit more versatile than we thought. So there's 4 different kinds of spark upgrades we can get. The dominant one is cool, and there's dispersive as well. So dispersive will use the mana in a mana pool to charge a nearby player's mana-containing item. So it'll charge up your, for example, the mana tablet in your inventory. The dominant spark will pull mana from any nearby pools with a spark on them and fill up its own pool. Okay? The recessive spark will dump everything out of the pool and fill up any other nearby pools. And then finally, the isolated spark will prevent the spark from interacting with dominant or recessive pools. So it kind of blocks it off from the whole spark network. Now, in order to get this, we're going to need Pixie Dust and Mana Steel. So what do I want to get? I want to get 1 recessive and 2 dominant sparks. So 2 dominants are going to require fire runes, and a recessive is going to require an earth rune. Let's see if I happen to have some of those. I think I used the last of my runes crafting. So why don't I come back in a minute, sleep through the night, get those runes made, and then we'll check out the sparks. Alright, first things first, let's get ourselves a couple mana pearls. Done and done, and we converted those into pixie dust. Cool. What else do we need for this? So for the dispersive, so for the dominant spark, I'm sorry, that's the one we want, and the recessive. So we want 1 recessive, so it's going to need a mana steel and a rune of earth. Let's drop 1 more mana steel onto here, because I know I'm going to need actually 2 more mana steels. And I'm also crafting a phantom mana lens because I wanted to prepare that. So we want 1 recessive spark, 1. And I think we said we're going to want actually 2 dominants. So that's going to need the runes of fire, I presume. Oh good, I already got it. So 2 dominant sparks, good. So the recessive spark is going to go on the pool who is just sitting there collecting mana. So notice right now we've got mana collection going on, right? When we place the recessive pool on there, it's going to automatically distribute all its mana evenly to all other pools. So it's not going to load balance the mana, it's not going to make it even, but it's evenly going to distribute to all the pools nearby. So you'll notice that this pool received a bunch, and this pool received a bunch, and the pool downstairs received some as well. Now this pool is going to act as my kind of buffer, right? So anything that we want to have mana available to it should be drawing from that pool. So in order to force things to draw from the buffers, we want to put dominant sparks on there. So that's what I'm going to put here and here. Hopefully these guys can reach. Are you too far away to really hit anything, or? Oh, that's not good. You shouldn't be drawing from him. Well, Yeah, I probably don't want him drawing from him, so we'll let this refill a little bit. And then you know what we'll do is we'll just actually leave the dominance off these guys. So shift right click, that's fine. They'll get their mana because they're not going to need so much of it. Oh wow, you got a lot of mana, didn't you? You can draw a little bit more. Try and balance it out a little bit. There we go. You can see it transfers mana very quickly, which is nice. That should at least be close to balanced. So about 1.5, and then, yeah, it's about close. So you'll notice here that all the mana that's getting created and sent into this mana pool is immediately being distributed to the other mana pools. Nice, right? So we'll keep this downstairs as a bit of a battery, right? It'll kind of reserve it, and then it'll spread out its mana as needed to these. Once these are both full, I can probably put dominant sparks on both of them. I do want to actually check to see. You might not actually be hitting anything. Interesting. I can't actually do that. So let's try this. I'm going to put it back down, and that should show me. All right, now can you show me how you're going? So he does actually look like he's hitting the mana pool down there, which is a good sign. I like that. That's actually really good. Cool. All right, so for now, I think we're in good shape. So we've got the mana being spread evenly. The only downside now is that this mana spreader can't really fill this runic altar because the pool that he's attached to is always empty. So what I'm going to do is for now, I'm going to attach him to this pool, but eventually we'll probably have another pool set up. So all I have to do is place him down, put this thing into bind mode, and bind this to this. And he should be facing up at that thing now. There we go. That'll take care of that. And remember, in order for him to shoot up over through the earth and everything, we want the phantom mana lens, which should give us what we need. Cool. So now we've got mana here, and we've got mana in those other two pools. We should be in pretty good shape. Nice. We don't have any of the dominants down. I'll place the dominants on these, like I said, when we have a good foundation of mana, let's say, because we don't want them kind of stealing from each other, I don't think. I didn't think that they would steal from each other like that when they were both dominant. Let me play with it a little bit more. Oh yeah, there we go. They're both dominant now. I must have done something wrong because you can see now that they're both dominant and therefore not draining from each other. So 2 dominants should not drain from each other. I didn't think that would be the case. So now these 2 mana pools are prioritized over the ones that are downstairs. There we go. That's much better. Cool. So you can see this thing constantly getting drained and sending it up there. So this is like a buffer, right? We'll eventually have multiple mana pools down here with multiple sparks, and then, you know, from there we'll be in good shape. All right, guys, with that, I think we are way past the wrapping up point for this episode, so we will be back next time. We've got the portal to Elfheim open, which is cool. We've got a bunch of other things done, and we've got some pretty cool work done with sparks. These sparks are going to do a good job of creating what's basically a giant, like, mana pool down here that's going to spread its mana throughout the entire Botania area. We've got pretty much everything we can get block-wise from Botania. I think there's one or two small ones we can get, but for the most part, we should be in good shape. There are a couple large multi-blocks, but we're not going to want to build them inside the greenhouse because they involve boss monsters and stuff like that we probably don't want to fight in the middle of a greenhouse. And hey, while we're at it, let's go check on the chest downstairs. I might wind up moving this chest upstairs, but for now it's actually doing a good job sitting right here. You can see it did convert all the living wood and living stone that we wanted. That's awesome. That's perfect. So that build is working out as well. All right, guys, for now, Direwolf20 signing off. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Take it easy.